Hello and welcome to another episode of League Bits. In this episode we're going to be looking at how to jungle pre-12 to around 15 minutes. This tutorial will be structured in a way that we address specific things using specific examples from different types of games. First we'll look at the first few camps, what you should look out for, what are your options depending on the champions and picks. Then we'll look at how you can set up ganking and vision control to help your laners out and also control the enemy jungler. And in turn, we'll look at how you can use counter jungling and counter ganking in order to gain an advantage, not to waste any information you might have that can give you an advantage. And then we'll look at the dragon control and first tower gold that you can use to snowball your team to victory from that 12 to 15 minute lead that you may have. I just want to thank each and every one of you that has subscribed because of these tutorials or the League of Legends montages. The support is greatly appreciated. So let me know what other series you might like to see from League Bits in particular. So with that said, let's learn how to jungle. The first thing you should pay attention to when you're starting the game, before the camps even spawn, is preparing to understand the kind of game you're going to have. Is the enemy jungler an invader who will contest you at your second buff? Is it someone who will be very, very passive and maybe you can take advantage of? Is it someone who likes to AFK farm or gank a lot? Have these things in your mind. And of course, if you're a bit experienced and you're learning how to jungle and you're not sure about these things, don't worry. You'll learn them very quickly through doing. Trust me, it didn't take me very long to understand that Shaco likes to contest your buffs at level 2 and kill you. To that end, it's very important that you understand where the jungler starts, no matter who it is. So how can you do that? Well, you look to your top lane, you look to your bottom lane, you see who arrives late. And if they do, is there resources used or resources missing? For example, an Ezreal Thresh here, they're both missing mana and they haven't even touched the CS yet. I'm pretty close to 100% certain that the jungler started at the blue buff. What you do with that information depends on the matchup. If I am Rengar, which I am in this case, I know I can go contest it as red and probably kill him. And I can use a strategy in another game.
Leave only a trail of bodies.
And then I can do it again. And then I can do it again. And in this case as Rengar, I understood that if I go red, raptors, wolves, I will have enough time to invade the enemy red buff just as he's either arriving, finishing, or in the middle of doing it. Now it might look easy simply to walk into the jungle and kill the enemy without any regard to anything else on the map because you are the OP or you are the stronger jungler. But there are things you need to consider when you do this. The main thing is watch where your mid lane and top laner are. If both mid and top are being pushed towards your own towers, it's very, very dangerous to ward because if you're low, they're going to rotate over to you. As you can see they do in one of these examples. The only reason I escape is because I'm very, very patient. I know what I can do and what I cannot do as Rengar, and I had already told my mid laner I was going to invade in the first place, so she's ready to help support me to get out. But you'll notice that the Urgot from top lane also comes down. Now had Ahri not rotated, had I not seen them, I would have died and given one of my laners double buffs, which is an absolutely terrible thing to do. So please be sure that you indicate to your laners that you are invading and make sure that they can shove a little bit so they can rotate before the enemy to help you out. Finally, once you've killed the enemy jungler and taken his red buff, or at the very least just killed him, make sure you take something else of his. Take the raptors, put a ward down, and as you go back across the river, kill that scuttle crab. You've now completely dominated that side of the map, and if he's smart, he has to go to the bottom side. Coming back to the top side is very, very dangerous because you can kill him again. The opposite to this is of course someone invading you or stealing your buff, so you need to be prepared for that, and you need to understand which champions will try to do so. In this example, I'm Kindred, and I usually start red buff, but I know Nunu might start my blue or at least try and invade my blue after he does red, so I decide to go over there. I do a silly thing and face check the blue bush. Fortunately, it's just him there. He has no combat abilities, so I can chase him off. I assume he's going to do his blue and then steal my red, so I maximize my path by taking all 3 camps on my blue side and proceeding down to red. What happens is I actually run into him at red because he has started blue and then gone grump. When you pull up tab, you should look at a jungle CS and you can actually add up which camps someone has done. For example, if I do blue, grump, and wolves, I would have done 5. So I'm able to chase him off, gain a bit of advantage from a counter jungler, which is very, very important because he's behind now and I have control over the only side where I have camps remaining. I take the scuttle crab, which is also a mark for me. I take my red. I try and execute a little bit of a gank just to burn some sums. I know I'm not going to get the kills. And then I clear my Krugs. The whole point of this is that I ganked on a side where he could steal farm. And in which case he wouldn't because my bot lane's pushed up, my mid lane is there, and I'm here. So it's very dangerous for him to come in and try to take my raptors at this point. but I ensure to take Krugs just so he doesn't get any fancy ideas. Alright, let's talk about the thing that everyone complains you're not doing enough of, ganking. The biggest thing you need to consider with ganking is 1 pathing and 2 vision. You need to be concerned with your own vision plus the enemy's vision. You can see very clearly in this example, I'm hugging the wall very tightly. Yes, I have a control ward and I put a ward in his jungle, but I do not know if the side bushes ward for mid lane. By hugging the wall here, they cannot see you no matter what. And it's important to know these simple paths that you can take, especially from mid lane where you can come from behind, even if they're not pushed up too much. It's also important because you need to be able to see if the enemy jungle is going to counter gank you. Or conversely, if you're trying to counter gank, it's important that you have control of the vision or at least can see him coming. Or you can use anticipation based upon information you have. So I knew Eve was, of course, in the blue side jungle because I just ran into her, and I let her believe that she'd be getting off a free gank, when here I am as Warwick counter ganking with Rumble, and we're able to take full advantage of the situation. And of course, if your laner is low and wants to go back to buy, make sure you help them push. Don't tax, it's unnecessary. You helped out, you're the jungler, you did your bit. It's more important that the laner gets an item advantage or a gold advantage so that they can snowball their own lane and help take pressure off of you, because you don't need to worry about them as much anymore and you can focus on lanes that do need your help. Take this opportunity to also set up a tent on someone who does not respect you, who does not respect vision control. If you know he's not putting wards down, or you can see where he puts wards down because you and your mid laner have good control of the area, gank him so much that they're complaining at their jungler for not doing anything, even if they are. You need to get into every single person's head, and when you tilt the enemy mid laner and tilt the enemy jungler because they're arguing, you win. You win that phase of the game. And you can keep using the same routes and different routes, especially around mid lane and bot lane, where you have different access points most of the time. Now if you're counter jungling, you can swoop in from behind. Don't underestimate the effect of ganking twice before you go back. For example, I gank the mid lane and I immediately go to top lane to help Riven. Isn't that much better for everyone involved? There's no camps for me that I can clear very quickly, so I might as well punish those people that are pushing and not warding. These laners just do not respect junglers at all. Up to a high elo, they just do not respect ganks. Take advantage of that and really sit on them. But of course, don't sit in an area way too long waiting and waiting and waiting to the point that you need to itch your armpit. That's what Maokai does.
Oh, where did I put that sapling?
And this leads us nicely to the counter jungling, counter ganking phase of our discussion. The previous section was predicated on you being the aggressive jungler and you being the one that makes all the aggressive moves. In this situation, you know that if there is an aggressive jungler ganking a lot because all your lanes are winning, or just because that's just the way the jungler works, if it's Lee Sin, he's going to try and gank a lot. If it's a Shaco and Eve, they're going to try gank a lot. So what you do in that case is, if someone shows on one side of the map, if the jungler shows on the top side, go and take his bottom side farm and ward up the area. Use information that you have to your advantage. And from there, if you can get yourself a nice experience lead, like I do here, I'm 3 levels above the Jarvan. I counter ganked him because of good vision. I took all his farm, so he had no other choice but to try force a gank, and in doing so put himself even further behind. But now I can also go into his jungle and 1v1 him and completely take him off the map, letting my laners relax and focus on what they need to do to push their own advantages. So what I do, I steal his blue, he's 3 levels behind, I rotate up, I ult and kill him at his raptors, then I take his Krugs and I'll wait at his red. He comes right back and I kill him again. He's completely tilted, his laners are not moving because they know there's no point, because he's gonna die very, very quickly. He's not warding, they're not warding, and they just don't know where I am. He's also not respecting the power I have over him. His pathing isn't very good. If you know a Rengar just killed you in your topside jungle and you're down 3 levels, don't go back there. Go to your bottom side and try get something from that end. Don't go into the area you know he was last, because most likely he's gonna sit there and kill you again. And the main thing I do is I keep vision up in his jungle so I can see wherever he is and just roam over to kill him. This leads us to the very important point of reacting to action first. I'm about to start my raptors here, but I see 2 people pushing against my Riven. I roam right up, I flash in, we kill both of them. And guess what I do? I stick around, I get Scuttle Crab, we wait for Darius to TP back, and we kill him again. That's a huge swing for us, a huge swing. And you want to exploit that whenever you can. And guess what? The Lee Sin was late to the action, his back timing was off, he has no vision, and my raptors are still there, so you can go back and take those. So it's a really good use of your time to react to action first, and then get your farm afterwards. Or, when you're invading, take their stuff and then go gank and take your own farm afterwards. Your farm will always be there as long as you're the one dictating the pace. And again, you can see here, I'm about to start my blue buff, I rotate bottom, and I help my Twitch out. Now I'd been heavily ganking top and mid, so I hadn't helped the bot at all, and they were quite far behind just in a 2v2 lane. So this gank by Lee Sin was quite strong. I make sure to counter gank it by leaving my blue buff and making sure my Twitch gets a kill. I then give him all of his CS, I don't tax. Try not to tax if you can, unless it's really necessary to push quickly. Give the CS to your laner. They are more important than you are, and they will be more important than you are later in the game, because when you leave them alone, they need to be able to handle themselves. If you're taking all the gold and all the kills, how are they expected to do that if the enemy jungler comes? So bear that in mind. And finally, dragon control and first tower gold. You want to make sure that you can get these when possible. If you can solo the dragon at level 5 like you can with Warwick, do it. I just counter ganked the Eve and stolen some camps, so I know she's 2 levels behind me and has no choice but to farm to catch up. So what do? I take the dragon solo. If you have a good gank bot lane and there's not enough room for you to get the early tower, or maybe your bot lane doesn't want to because they can exploit that advantage more, take the dragon. And keep track of which are the most important dragons for your team. Usually Fire and Mountain are very crucial, so if you can pick a jungler, especially if you're learning how to play, that can solo dragons early, it's very crucial that you do so. And from there, you should be able to get first brick gold if you see 3 people pushing top lane and your top laner died to a gank, and you happen to be bottom side, help reciprocate and try and get the tower beforehand. But don't force it, it's not the end of the world if you lose that first tower gold. At the very least, you can take all the junglers bottom side and ward it up, so then the next time he comes, you can react quicker, counter gank, and snowball a lead in a different way. The main thing is to always have information at hand, be in the heads of the enemy at all times, so no AFK farming. That doesn't help you win games. Not anymore. This isn't Fair Flare from 2014 or Season 4. Alright, I know that was a lot of information. I've put the notes up there, so hopefully you can revisit it if you need any further tips. I hope this was helpful. I know it was quite dense, but please try and assimilate some of these things into your game plans, especially the vision control and the counter jungling. That's such an important aspect of jungling. And don't forget to like and comment if you enjoyed this. Make sure to subscribe if you'd like to see more. I wish you the best of luck implementing these things into your jungling gameplay, and I hope you get many wins from it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next tutorial.